There we go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Justice Revolution. My name is James the Patriot, your host. I have with me my ever so faithful co-hosts, Justice and Erica. Say hello, ladies.
Morning, hey everyone.
Oh gosh, we got a good one. I say that every time, though, don't I?
Yeah.
Is that like a cliffhanger teaser that people are just like, oh, he says this every time?
They're all good. A lot of good stuff going on.
All right, I just want to make sure. All right, so today is October the 18th, Friday, in the year of our Lord 2024. We are less than 17 days now to the general election. What's going to happen? I don't know. Actually, I kind of have an inkling, but
it's up in the air.
All I can say is just buckle up, people. It's going to get crazy. So yeah, The topic of today's show is have our state's constitutions been unlawfully changed? And the way I came from this, or I came to this, the idea for today's show was, Erica, you actually posted something in, I want to say the Telegram chat, or maybe you sent me a text. I can't remember what it was, but you've been reading The Authority of Law by Charles Wiseman, right?
Right.
By the way, everyone, I strongly recommend, if you have not read that treatise, do so. The easiest place that I can find it is on my buddy Kirk's website, kirkslawcorner.com. Kirk's, Kirks, lawcorner.com, and then just click on the library tab. It's right there.
There's also a really great site, wethepeople2.us.
Okay.
They have a huge library. It's got all the Black's laws,
like
Wiseman's maxims, the collection of the maxims of law. It's got all of Charles Wiseman's books, the John Locke, Blackstone, like all the things.
So wethepeople2.us.
It's a really good one. Yeah.
And then
this is where they have the Common Law Academy. Yep. The Fundamental Law Library.
We use it for homeschooling too.
Whose did you say we could find the Authority of Law on? Was it Telegram or?
No, it's kirkslawcorner.com. He has a copy of it there. But the site that Erica just mentioned is in here. I'll stream it. You're missing. We people.
We have the people. We have them now.
I know. Let me go this one right here. So this is what the wethepeople2.us website looks like. And I assume you just go here under the education, right here under the Fundamental Law Library.
Right? Yeah.
So when we click on this, it's going to give us, here it is right here. Yeah. A collection of maxims of law by Charles Wiseman. I really like Charles Wiseman's writings. They're really good. Here's the Authority of Law. Ooh, the Complete Federalist Papers. That's really good. Mm-hmm. Really good stuff.
Yeah,
there's a guy by the name of Scott Kesterson about 4 years ago read the entire series of the papers, and you can find his podcast on I think it's Podbean, whatever it's called, Podbean.
Yeah.
Scott Kesterson. I think it's Bards FM. Is the name of his podcast.
Yeah, Bards FM. I've heard of it.
Yeah. So if you want to listen, because there's a lot.
Yeah, cool. I was just going to see if they had, it doesn't look like it's really easy to find, but
it's searchable. There's one that's searchable.
I don't see, or maybe I'm just in the wrong spot. It might be up here towards the top. I don't know. Or you can just search right here. Anyway, so really good stuff. This is a great website. Oh, I like this. Create a notice, lawful notification letter. Yeah. Create an affidavit.
Yeah.
Public record. I like this. This is cool.
Yeah, it's a really, really good site, and I use it for homeschooling too. There's like modules that you can do. It's all for free. It's a really, really good place to start if you're just trying to get a handle on what common law is and what remedy is for the people.
Yeah.
This is the We the People one?
Yeah.
wethepeople2.us. Yeah, I like this. They've already got already got a handful of templates here.
Yep. And they've got
templates.
jot forms so that you can like just electronically sign them. The notices, like there's one right when it pops on, like it's like a hard stop before you enter the website. Read through that one. It's a really good one. And then sign it if you agree with it, and add to the amount of people who are sending notice to our government saying, hey, this is not right. This is what you need to do to fix it.
Ooh, let's look at this one. This is the I just clicked on the request for verification of debt. This is good. So
I need that one.
Yeah, this talks about compliance with the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, which basically says that they are not allowed to share your information with the credit bureaus unless you allow them to, but they do it anyway. So anyway,
somebody, I just want to stick this in there since we're on the subject. Somebody was having an argument yesterday about the credit bureaus again, and some person was saying, no, it's in the first document you signed and it transfers. And I just want to let people know they want it to transfer, but under contract law, it doesn't transfer.
Unless you agree to it.
Well,
you have to be notified of that.
Yes. And you have to be aware of the person it's transferring to. So,
exactly.
So for instance, I know I've mentioned this before, but American Express extorted all of us during COVID. Mm-hmm. So I, being that we were out of work and the government shut everything down, said, please remove the interest on my account during X period of time and X period of time when we were not allowed to go to work and earn an income. That's extortion. Yeah. They wouldn't remove it. I stopped paying them. And I said, when you remove it, I'll pay it in full. It was only like $2,000. It was nothing. I'm like, I'll just pay it in full. Remove it. And I'm happy to pay it in full. They wouldn't do it, and they still wouldn't do it. So when the collection agency called me, I asked them to please send me the contract that I signed that I had with them. And I said, the only contract I'm in is with American Express. I don't even know who you are. I never heard from them again. And American Express still continues to call me. But when I pick up the phone to say hello, there's no answer. And then I get 5 robot calls afterwards. So it's funny, but just know that is a very valid thing. You have to have a contract. You have to be aware of it. So I just wanted to put that in there because there was a huge argument yesterday about it. Yeah. And I'm living proof that when you ask for the contract and they don't provide it, they run and scurry.
I'm actually in a similar situation right now where I have sent in a payment, and the company that I sent the payment to, they didn't like the form of payment that I made. So they said, we're rejecting your payment. I was like, oh, are you now? And they want to require that I pay them through a wire transfer. So you guys know me, right? What do I do when somebody does that? What do I do? I'm like, okay. So I went to the contract, and nowhere in the contract does it state that I am required to pay by a wire transfer, or did I agree to that. It just states that this is the amount due, and this is the time each month it's due. So guess what else because this is who I am, right? Guess what else I went and found? So let me open up here. And this is where you're going to hear a lot of contention about this, okay? But I'm here to tell you, I have done the research, and I have found that every state has something like this. And what I'm talking about is the Uniform Commercial Code. You guys have heard of that, right? Uniform Commercial Code. Mm-hmm. Okay. So under the Uniform Commercial Code, and I'm going to share my screen again because every state has adopted something along those lines. Let me get this one here. There we go. Okay, why did it do that? Can you make that a little bigger, Justice? I'm not sure why. Well, that's a little better. Maybe we can just here. Let's just do this one. That's better. We don't need our faces in there right now. Mm-hmm. So we can remove that banner. By the way. Okay, so when you go to every state has some form of adoption of the Uniform Commercial Code. So here I am under the Utah State Legislature website. This is legit, le.utah.gov. This is the actual website for my state where I can find all of our quote-unquote laws of the state. So here's what's interesting. When you make a payment to a servicer, That is actually governed under Chapter 3, negotiable instruments. Do you guys know what a negotiable instrument is? Erica or Justice?
Some kind of a agreement, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to look right here. A negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest or other charges described in the promise if it is payable to the bearer. So basically, it's like a check. When you write a check, that's a negotiable instrument.
Okay.
When you sign a promissory note,
right,
that's a negotiable instrument. When you send a money order, that's a negotiable instrument. All of that is governed under this. So here's what I love about this. When you go here to Part 6, discharge and payment, Section 603, tender of payment. So you guys remember, I sent in the payment. The guy said, I don't want your payment in this method. Okay. So look what I see here. Under Section 2, let's see if I can, I'm going to see if I can blow this up just a little bit so you guys can see it. Right here. If tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument and the tender is refused, what does this say here, Erica?
There is discharge.
Boom!
Whoa, James.
What does that mean?
That means you don't have to pay it.
It means nada, zip, zero, zilch.
So this is interesting because several people from the channel have reached out to me. This is a common thing where you attempt to make a payment, whether it's to the IRS or wherever, and it's denied.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Or they want.
There's sneaky reasons why they do that.
Or they want payment in a specific form. Well, guess what else I found, y'all? Take a look at this. Let's go over to United States Code. Gold clauses and consent to sue. Have you heard this one before?
Actually, yeah. It's in like a bunch of Patriot mythology type channels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
However, it does have applicability. And let me show you where. Title 31 U.S. Code 5118. In this section, gold clause means a provision in or related to an obligation, so a debt, alleging to give the obligee or obligee, I'm not sure how to say that, a right to require payment in gold, a particular United States coin or currency, or United States money measured in gold, or a particular United States coin or currency. What? Wait a minute. So I'm confused here. Under this code, you cannot require repayment in gold, a particular United States coin or currency, or United States coin money measured in gold. So how am I supposed to repay you? Does this make sense to anybody? Does this make sense to anybody?
No.
That's my question.
I'm not following what you're saying.
What I am saying is under federal law, an obligee or an obligee, I'm not even sure how you say that. Basically, an obligee, somebody who is owed money is prohibited by federal law from requiring payment in a certain form of money. So how am I supposed to repay them? Technically, you can't. They can't be repaid, right? Because a Federal Reserve note is a debt. So we're repaying debts with debts. Does that make sense to anybody?
Right. That part I'm understanding what you're saying, but I guess I'm just not reading this right. Anyway, my brain.
It's all good. It's all good. Basically, what I am saying is this. I don't really cite this much. I have in a couple of correspondences, but really what I was after was this one right here. I offered you payment. You refused my payment. And now you're still trying to tell me I owe you money. I'm telling you, go pound sand. Because I paid you.
So you're filing an affidavit now?
So, yeah. So what I did Let me stop sharing. Where's my stop sharing? There it is. So what I did is I sent in the first payment, and boy, this is crazy. We're getting off topic here, but this is important. I sent in my payment, and I sent in a letter with my payment outlining how this is to be done. I got an email with a letter attached to the email, said rejection of payment. I'm like, ooh, interesting that you decided to actually send me correspondence that you're rejecting my payment. So then I sent an affidavit of dishonor. And I stated in my affidavit of dishonor that, hey, under these provisions, I don't owe you anything. I made your payment. It was duly made. It was well within the contractual guidelines. I even sent the contract. I even sent a copy of that. And I circled on the contract where it doesn't state I'm required to make a payment in a certain form. Like they said, we only accept United States dollars. Okay. Can you show me what a United States dollar is? Because I can find a Federal Reserve note that says United States of America, but I can find nowhere a United States dollar. When you actually look at this,
this is for your mortgage.
What's that?
I hope this is for your mortgage.
It is, but anyway, we're getting there, right? I'm getting there. So the point that I'm trying to make here is I tendered payment in lawful money according to federal law. They refused my lawful payment. There is discharge. They have no rights to collect. But guess what I got? I got a nice little letter from a stupid liar. So I'm going to take this even further.
Are you wanting to keep secret the form of payment you paid with? Because everybody's going, well, what did he try to pay with?
Exactly. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to keep it a secret at all. But I do want to see this through before
you say anything.
Hey, everybody, here's what you can do.
I understand.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things, you guys. That's why I'm saying 17 days to quote unquote election day. There's a lot of things that I've been hearing that are going to be happening or possibly happening. I mean, have you guys heard of the Nasara? Have you heard of that? Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's been speculated, and I don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of things that have happened make sense. From what I understood, that NASARA, the National Economic Stimulus and Recovery Act, that's what that stands for. My understanding, that was passed back in 2000 or 2001, and it was supposed to take effect, but it didn't because of 9/11.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stories around that.
There's a lot of, that's why I say, I mean, this is all this is all unconfirmed. This is just speculation. I'm not saying this is real. I'm not saying it's true. Please don't go, oh my gosh, James said this. It's got to be. No, I'm not. Okay.
Yeah.
For your jets.
Well, it is a valid thing, but groups have taken it way too far.
There you go.
So there's no way everybody's getting millions of dollars. The economy is shut down. We need functioning. And if everybody's a millionaire, only the millionaires get to be millionaires, right? So
exactly.
That's the form of a capitalist society. I think certain debts should be paid on the basis of fraud. Mm-hmm. But my personal opinion is that everyone's not getting millions of dollars. And if you do get something, you get it over a small period of time applied to your children in money that's been stolen from us. That's kind of where my head goes around. But, everybody's getting millions of dollars. It's just gone like everything. Even the Patriot mythology stuff, there's really good, valid information wrapped up in that. And some of it is way off the charts. So, Oh, James, you're froze. James, are you frozen, James? Okay. So let's see.
By the way, if everyone becomes millionaires, everyone will starve, because who will have incentive to cook your burgers for you?
Well, that's what I was saying.
Drive the meat to you, right, or butcher the meat, or you'll have to learn how to do that yourself. Anyway.
Right. And that's what I was saying, is that everything would come to a screeching halt, and it's just, it can't work that way. I think more people should be self-sustainable and learn how to provide their own food. bigly because corporations should not be providing our food. But
yeah, the quality of what you can get in the grocery store.
Yeah. Let me share this while we're waiting for James to come back. Has anybody else on there? This is my ballot. It just came. Let me make sure there's no under. Can you guys see this? Let's see.
You switch out your picture so that you're the big one.
Let me, well, I'll just read it. But if anybody else got it, it says under federal office, U.S. President and Vice President. This is in Utah now. Number 1 is Cornell Ronald West, Melinda Abdullah. And number 2 is Lucifer, quote, Justin, Justin, last name Case, Case, unquote. And then below that, Every Love. Lucifer, Justin Case, Every Love. Let's see if I can get this to show. No, it won't show with this. Oh, there we go.
Oh no, they cut James's internet.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
That's a bummer. Well, what do you know about the state's constitutions being changed?
I don't know, but I know it'll be a big thing for those of us who are using it for fundamental law
So
in
let me tell
remedy.
James,
So
hold on. Let me tell him something real quick. Go ahead. Why don't you give us an update on your stuff real quick? Let me see if I can help James.
Well, I went to the election committee and presented a notice to them, letting them know about, what the Constitution says about granted authority for conducting elections, it being 1 day and by hand counted paper ballots and, all the stuff that our state constitution says about it too. And they did respond to me and they said that they're well within the law, and they quoted their statutes, but they're not in pursuance to the Constitution, so they're considered null and void. They don't understand that whole thing. So I know that it only takes one county in one state to decertify the entire election. So if all else fails, I'll be that county because I'll be a pain in the butt. So
good. I'm wondering what's happening with Philadelphia. Did you hear what Elon Musk said the other day?
I don't know.
He basically was at a town hall and he came up and said, Pennsylvania is the key to making or breaking our country. All right, James, he's back.
Sorry, guys. All right, so I have a backup Wi-Fi hotspot from my cell phone. It's like the little box thing,
Good.
I don't plug it in often or at all, really, because I have Wi-Fi. But anyway, I just got a text about 10 minutes before they cut us off that we've identified a network issue in your area, and we're going to have to shut your service off.
Interesting. Well, okay. So James, the point at hand. Oh my gosh, he's gone again. You froze again. Let's tell him. Okay, Erica, back to you. Sorry, guys. This is really just a low-key kind of day. We got off on credit, and we're not even on the subject at hand here.
So all that to say that I've already served the notices. Now I can serve an affidavit to the county. So yeah.
Oh,
I don't. My stupid internet keeps trying to connect to the other one. I'm just going to have to forget that network for now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
Sorry. So anyway, what was I saying before we got cut off?
We were talking about the state's constitutions.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, I was talking about, the
authority of law.
Yeah, the authority of law. So let's get back to what I was trying to get to from the very beginning. And by the way, for those of you who are watching, yes, I do have a Band-Aid on my neck. I actually had, I went to the skin doctor yesterday because I had what I thought was just a pimple that just wouldn't go away. I was getting a little concerned. So they cut off a little piece of it. They think it's just a cyst, but who knows? We're going to verify. So anyway, so yeah, I can't remember if it was a text or something that Erica had sent me where she was saying, hey, I'm reading The Authority of Law by Charles Weisman. And so I decided to start reading it on Sunday. And I got to a number of different things, but the one that really stood out to me was in, I believe it's chapter 3, the enacting clause. Have you guys heard of what an enacting clause is?
Oh yeah, that's juicy.
Erica knows. Yep. So an enacting clause is basically the authority that we people granted our legislatures to create laws in our name. So every state's constitution, well, I should say not every state's constitution, the majority of states' constitutions have an enacting clause in it somewhere. And I went back and reviewed my state's constitution. And here's what's interesting. When I look at the state constitution that we have that's readily available on the state's website that I just showed you, we don't have an enacting clause in there. So I'm going to pull up my screen again, and I'm going to show you guys, because again, this show would actually be really best viewed or seen via video. So for those of you who are listening to us online, I'm going to read what I'm seeing here, but I'm going to be jumping around a bit, so it's probably really in your best interest to follow along through the video at some point. So here's what I found, right? So under the index of my state's constitution.
Can you zoom it in, James?
Yes, let me zoom it in again. Is that a little better?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the Utah State Constitution. Our preamble, Article 1, 2, all the way down here to the last amendment and revision and schedule, right? So when I look in here under, okay, this is Roman numerals. So this is 6, right? Article 6.
Yes.
The legislative department. Here is everything that we, the people, allegedly granted the legislatures of our state. You know, basically the power is vested in the Senate, House, and the people, who are senators, who's eligible, blah, 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 compensation. So what I was looking for is I was actually looking for one that said an enacting clause. There should be something there, right? So I'm looking through here. Service of articles of impeachment, removal of officers, reading of bills, bill to contain only one subject, bills passed by majority. Okay, I wonder if it's in here, section 22. So when I read through this, I don't see an enacting clause in there. Erica, do you see an enacting clause anywhere?
No, it's just talking about the bill. It doesn't become a law until it's enacted by the Congress. So
yeah, so I don't see an enacting clause there. All right, well, I wonder if it's here. Presiding officers to sign the bill. Nope, I don't see anything there. Oh, wait a minute. Wonder if it's under the publication of acts, right? Because they have to publish things, right? Nope, I don't see anything there. Do you see anything, Erica? Am I missing anything?
nope.
Okay. Private laws forbidden. Games of chance. Okay, so I don't see anything in here. So does that mean my state doesn't have an enacting clause?
All the states do.
They're supposed to. They either have them in their constitution or they have them through legislation. Okay, so now we know where that is. Let me zoom back out a second. I am going to share a different document. Share screen. Not window, this one. Okay. So this is, I went online and I found the original Utah State Constitution as it was ratified when the founders of my state, Utah, ratified this in 1895.
I was going to say, when was that? So, okay.
Yep, 1895. This was actually, and I can go down and see that. So what I want to do is, unfortunately, I don't think that the screen share functions within StreamYard will let me share side by side. So we're going to jump around a little bit, but I'm going to go back up here under Section 6, which is the legislative department. Let me get there. Sorry.
James, do you have a PC or an Apple?
I have an Apple.
You can do a side-by-side on your desktop and share the whole thing if you want.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you could do that. Okay, executive department. Okay, here we go. Now, legislative department. So I can just, if I just do like this. Sorry, I'm going through here. All right, now let me stop my screen. Present, share screen. This one. Hey, there we go. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know it's a little small. I'll do what I can. Screen real estate's a little hard. Okay. Oh, boom. There we go. What you're seeing on the left this is what's readily available on le.utah.gov. This is, according to the state legislature, the Constitution as it is today. What you're seeing on the right is the Constitution as it was enacted or as it was ratified in 1895. So we're just going to go section 1 by section 1. We're going to compare these. All right. So section 1 says power vested in state, house, and people. Power vested in Senate and House.
Aha. That's what I was saying.
Wow. Okay, wait a minute. So this is considerably longer than what this is. You seeing the differences here?
Wow.
Okay. So again, that's just one thing. Wait, you guys, it gets better. Okay. Let's go down. Let's find the enacting clause. All right. So I'm going to go down here. Privilege from arrest, compensation of members, elections to fill vacancies, duration of sessions, trial by Senate, service of articles, removal. Oh, here we go. Section 22, enacting clause. Well, what was section 22 here? Reading of bills.
Interesting.
So the enacting clause of every law shall be. Do you guys know when you see the word shall, what does that mean?
It means must.
Must. Okay. This is the enacting clause here in the state of Utah. Be it enacted by the legislature of the uppercase S, lowercase state of Utah. Okay. Notice what does that mean when we have a capitalized first letter, Erica? What does that denote?
A proper noun?
A proper noun, which is a person, place, or thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's a corporation, right?
No.
No.
Not necessarily. That would be the all caps. The all caps would denote a corporation, generally speaking.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. So the uppercase denotes a person, place, or thing. What would the lowercase version of that denote then?
Like an adjective?
Like an adjective, or it's not necessarily not like an
adjective, but like not the proper noun, but just the general noun.
General sense of the term, right? Okay. Well, right now we can see major differences here. And it says, again, going back to the original intent. Remember our discussion a couple of videos ago where we're talking about what was the original intent of the framers and its meaning when we were talking about the 14th Amendment and all of those things?
Mm-hmm.
What was the original intent of the framers of the Utah Constitution? No bill or joint resolution shall be passed except with the assent of the majority of all the members elected to the House of the Legislature, and after it has been read 3 times. The vote upon the final passage of all bills shall be by yeas and nays, and no law shall be revised or amended by reference to its title only, but the act as revised or section amended shall be reenacted and published at length. One of these things is not like the other.
Oh my gosh, James, this is huge.
One of these things is not quite the same. Okay. All right. Now, well, James, they just amended the Constitution, right? Hold that thought. I just want to point out to one thing. One of the things that Charles Weisman talks about in the authority of law under the enacting clause is that in order for a law or a statute to be a valid law or statute, the enacting clause must appear on the face of the law.
Right.
What does that mean?
If it's not and has not been enacted.
It has to literally say the words, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Utah. And to answer, like, Alexis, yeah, he said, did it have to be written in the statute? No, it doesn't have to be written in the statute because it's still not, hadn't been enacted as a law yet.
Oh, here it is.
But it has to, once it's listed to what goes to the Secretary of State as the enacted law, it has to have that. And if it doesn't have it, it's not enforceable as law.
Not only that, where is it that we are readily directed to find out what is the moving statute or what is the law that they're being prosecuted under?
Usually codes, right?
Every single one of these stupid liars who's either a prosecutor or a county attorney or anything, anytime they refer to a statute, they go right here, they go to this page here, they go up to this one right here, and I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to pick just a law. Let me go here to, let's go to the judicial code. And let's just look at actions and venue, actions, right to be sued. Let's just see. Let's go to this one right here. Okay. If a husband and wife are sued jointly, either or both may defend in each one's own right for both parties. What's missing here? Do you see an enacting clause on the face of this published law?
No.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just missing it. All right, so that's number 3. Well, okay, let's just go up here to chapter 1, right? Because this is 73B judicial code. Maybe there's an enacting clause under the judicial code for all of them, right? No, wrong. There must be an enacting clause for each individual chapter and statute. All right, Jury and Witness Act. Okay, let's just go right here. Title. This part is known as the Jury and Witness Act. Well, wouldn't the enacting clause be in the title?
Yep, it would be right after the title.
Okay, right after the title? Okay, so let's go to definitions. No, it's not here either. All right, so let's go here. It is the policy of this state. I don't care about a stupid policy. What is missing?
The enacting clause.
Here's what's interesting, and I want to get your take on this, Erica. Let me go back here to, where was I? Actions and venues. This one right here, husband and wife. It says right here, enacted by Chapter 3, 2008 General Session. Well, there's a little hyperlink here. So when I click on this, this is where it takes me to this. Okay. I don't see an enactment clause here.
Click printer friendly. Oh, there it goes.
Long title, general description. This is a bill that recodifies it, blah, 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 all the way down through here, all the way down through here.
Oh, go back up. Go back up. Slow. Right there. Stop.
As enacted by the laws. Nope, that's not an enacting clause.
Okay.
It has to say specifically, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Utah.
Okay, now remember, uppercase state. I'm getting there.
So they're just stating enacted by Utah, and they're not going through the actual procedure.
Hold on. Hold that thought. Let me get down through all this crap. There's a lot of crap here.
A lot of crap there.
My point is, are we seeing the enacting clause on the face of the law that's readily and easily accessible to the general public at large?
No.
James, it's what's the can you put the hyperlink that into the Alexis would like to go to that web page. Can you hyperlink it into the chat, please?
There you go. Okay, I'm getting there. Let me just keep going down. Whoops. Okay.
It appears so, Diesel. It absolutely.
Oh, wait a minute. Look what I found. Line 2540. Be it enacted by the legislature of the what?
State of Utah.
Lowercase state of Utah.
Uppercase Utah.
Does that mean anything? Maybe it was just a misspelling. My question is, why would in the state's original constitution it say, be it enacted by the legislature, uppercase, which, right, an uppercase is a person, place, or thing. So the legislature is a thing. It's a body politic of the state, person, place, or thing of Utah. Utah, it denotes an actual jurisdictional area, but the uppercase letter of state is a body politic of we the people. So what does the lowercase mean? Is that the body politic of we the people?
No. That is so tricky.
Can you all believe that? But my point is, it's not. I had to drill down to find that.
Right.
Why do I have to? Why is this hiding? Why do I have to drill down?
It's supposed to be very easy to see so that the people know the authority of the law that is behind its enactment.
There you go. There you go. All right. So there is the enacting clause. Guys, I've only touched the surface. Let's go back here to more of this stuff, all right? Here's the thing that I find is interesting. Section 26, right? Under the current Utah Constitution, it says no private or special law shall be enacted where a general law can be applicable. Well, what does that mean?
It means that no special law shall be enacted when a general law can be applicable.
You just told me what it is, but you didn't tell me what it is.
So does that mean that in it like a to fractionate the law, to make like how we amend things and add in fractions and split hairs about these things? Is that what that means?
Sort of.
To create something additional.
Yeah. So I have to, because again, I'm not very smart. So I have to, when I see something that doesn't make sense or I don't understand on the surface, I need to dive deeper into it. So I did. I went to my trusty law dictionary here. This isn't Black's Law. It says a private law, the portion of the law that defines, regulates, enforces, and administers relationships among individuals, associations, and corporations, as used in distinction to public law. The term means that part of the law that is administered between citizen and citizen, or that is concerned with the definition, regulation, and enforcement of rights in cases where both the person in whom the right inheres and the person upon whom the obligation rests are private individuals.
Your audio is much better if you're closer to the mic.
I am. I'm like right next to it.
Okay.
So what that means is the state is prohibited from enacting any kind of law that regulates the conduct between its citizens. Right? But what do they do? I mean, I could see the look on Erica's face. She's just like, ooh, I just got something I want to say.
No, this. I've never looked at them side by side like this.
Well, and guys, it gets even crazier. I'm going to show you here in a second. So I saw this, and I didn't even look into this. Like, again, I just downloaded a copy of my state's original constitution because I wanted it for other things. I was more interested under the Declaration of Rights and some other stuff like that. However, after reading this, I mean, look at all of these things right here. This section 26 and what's quote unquote the applicable constitution today is one sentence. Section 26 of the original Constitution, the legislature is prohibited from enacting any private or special laws in the following cases: granting divorce. Oh, get the government out of our freaking lives. Changing the names of persons or places, or constituting one person the heir at law of another. Locating or changing county seats. Regulating the jurisdiction and duties of justices of the peace. What? Punishing crimes and misdemeanors. Regulating the practice of courts of justice. Providing for a change of venue in civil or criminal actions. Assessing and collecting taxes. Regulating the interest on money, changing the law of descent or succession. Look at this. There's 18 of them. Remitting fines, penalties, or forfeitures. Authorizing persons to keep ferries across streams within the states. That's interesting. Creating, increasing, or decreasing fees, percentages, or allowances of public officers during the term for which the said officers are elected or appointed. The legislature may repeal any existing special law relating to the foregoing subdivisions. In all cases where a general law can be applicable, no special law shall be enacted. So basically, what it's saying is we are not going to enact a law that regulates the conduct between one citizen and another. But they do it all freaking day long. Oh, gosh. All right, so let's go on.
You got to share this stuff with Phil.
Oh, I talked to him.
Oh, good.
And he said, you need to do a show on it. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, I will.
Yeah, this is how it appears, Brent, for sure.
Yes, Brent, you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head. So in other words, the original Utah Constitution put restrictions on our state government, whereas our current one is granting them unlimited power. Exactly. And again, okay, so now I want to get to, well, how did we get here? How are these two constitutions so different? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you have all of these things here. Here's something else that's interesting. I'm going to move on down here to the executive department. Okay, let's go into the executive department. Section 1, Section 2. Section 1, executive department. The executive department shall consist of a governor, secretary of state, state auditor, state treasurer, attorney general, and superintendent of public instruction. Wait a minute. Do you guys see this one right here? Secretary of State? Why do we need a Secretary of State?
Because they keep track of all of the enacted laws.
There you go. Go back and read the authority of law under the enactment clause, and you'll see that when a bill is passed, it's not a law until the governor signs it. The governor signs it. It's still not a law until it receives the official state seal by the Secretary of the State of that state.
Right.
Who is also an elected official. It's a separate office from this office, from the governor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. What am I seeing here? Section 1. The elected constitutional officers of the executive department shall consist of governor, lieutenant governor, state auditor, state treasurer, and attorney general. What's the problem with this between these two, other than they're different?
My gosh.
What's the problem, Erica? What's the problem of removing the Secretary of State office completely and adding that into the lieutenant governor?
Because he's supposed to be the gatekeeper, the one that stands in this place for the people to show what actual enacted laws are.
Okay. Not only that, the Secretary of State under the original Constitution has the jurisdiction and authority, let me see if it shows here, to manage our state's elections. Right?
Yep.
What are we seeing right now in this state?
They're following statutes that aren't in alignment with the constitutions.
Mm-hmm. Let me scroll down here. Congressional apportionment. I don't care about that. Senatorial districts, education. I want to find the one that talks about elections. I know it's here somewhere. Public debt, militia, labor. I thought it was. Maybe I just went to the... No, it's okay. We'll get to this part. Essentially, what they have done is you want to talk about a massive conflict of interest. Our state right now, all of our elections in this state are managed by the lieutenant governor's office. The lieutenant governor is not separately elected. I'll say that again. In the state of Utah, the lieutenant governor is not a separately elected office. They are a running mate with the governor. So let me ask you, Erica, if the governor, who's currently sitting in office now, loses at caucus, doesn't get enough names, doesn't get enough support to get onto the general ballot, and he decides he wants to circumnavigate the lawful system that's been put in place to maintain his quote-unquote power.
Oh, what a hypothetical situation, James.
Isn't that weird? Such a hypothetical situation.
So weird.
Wouldn't he or they propose legislation to give someone an alternative means to get on the ballot, even though it's wholly unconstitutional with the state's constitution? And then wouldn't there be a massive conflict of interest in that it's being run by his lieutenant governor's office, who's also 100% vested in the outcome of said election? Does that make sense to anyone?
No.
This is exactly what happened in the state of Indiana when I filed my criminal complaints.
Mm-hmm.
They went ahead, instead of investigating my criminal complaints, they wrote law for themselves to give themselves immunity.
Yeah.
And if you can just do that willy-nilly,
there's no law.
Can't, of course. They can't grant themselves that kind of power.
But they do.
They do.
I mean, this is what Brent said. What is the point? Well, the point is that people are figuring it out and rising up, and it's just a matter of time.
See, Brent, there is a solution to this. And the solution is that we, the freaking people, need to unite. And we, the freaking people, need to go back, because all of this can be nullified if it can be shown that it was not done in accordance with the constitutional provisions that were laid out and ratified at the very beginning. And I can show you right here. Okay. What's on the right-hand side of my screen is the Constitution as it was ratified. What you're seeing here is, this is Article 23. Is that right? XXIII 23.
Mm-hmm.
This is the amendment and revision process to the state constitution, right? They knew there will be times will come when we need to make changes to the Constitution. So how do we do that? Well, Section 1, amendments, proposal, and election. Any amendment or amendments to this Constitution may be proposed in either house of the legislature, and if 2/3 of all members elected to each of the two houses shall vote in favor thereof, the proposed amendment or amendments shall be entered on their respective journals with the yeas and nays taken thereon, and the legislature shall cause the same to be published in at least one newspaper in every county of the state where a newspaper is published for 2 months immediately preceding the next general election, at which time the said amendment or amendments shall be submitted to the electors of the state, the voters.
Yes.
For their approval or rejection. And if the majority of the electors voting thereon shall approve the same, such amendment or amendments shall become part of this Constitution. I'm going to read that line again. Such amendment or amendments shall become part of this Constitution. If 2 or more amendments are proposed, they shall be so submitted as to enable the electors to vote on each of them separately. Okay. When you amend something, what does that typically mean? When
change.
you amend something, it means to add to, right?
Right.
Or to subtract or to substitute. But what that means is it's completely separate. You're not changing the original documentation. Because again, the founders of our state knew this, which is why they put right here, Section 2, revision of the Constitution. So, hey, if we need to revise, if we need to make serious changes to what's already written here, a constitutional convention would need to be called. Doesn't that just make sense?
Right.
But what has happened? What has happened? Let me read to you the amendments proposal election of our current state's constitution. I'm not going to read the first part because that's pretty much the same. I'm going to start right here. The legislature shall cause the same to be published in at least one newspaper in every county of the state where a newspaper is published for 2 months immediately preceding. We read that. At which time the said amendment or amendments shall be submitted to the electors of their state for their approval or rejection. If a majority of the electors voting thereon shall approve the same, such amendment or amendment shall become part of this Constitution. All right, that's the same. This paragraph right here is where I want you to pay attention to. The revision or amendment of an entire article or the addition of a new article to this Constitution may be proposed as a single amendment and may be submitted to the electors as a single question or proposition. Such amendment may relate to one subject or any number of subjects and may modify or repeal provisions contained in other articles of the Constitution. If such provisions are germane to the subject matter of the article being revised, amended, or being proposed as a new article, well, then what the crap do we have a revision of the Constitution provision for? Did you guys catch that?
Oh, yeah.
This is blowing my mind.
The revision. That is not what the amendment process is for. You are not to revise anything in this original Constitution without a constitutional convention.
Whoa.
Do you guys see where this blew my mind?
Yeah, my mind's being blown currently.
We have all been dumbed down to think that the federal government is enemy number one. Look in your own backyard, people.
Yeah.
Look at what your local government is doing to you. It's right here. And not only that, so basically what I can do is I can come in here and I can go, any particular change that was proposed was done unlawfully. So I did some more research and I found this site here. I'm going to go ahead and just minimize this and make this one large, just so we can see it. That section was added in 1969. So in 1969, this was the proposed change. This proposed change never should have made it past the House floor. Period. Because the revision or amendment of an entire article or the addition of a new article, that's okay. That's what an amendment is for. It's to add a new article. An amendment is not to revise an entire article.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
So I blame the voters of 1969 for not catching that. But I also blame Congress in 1969 for passing this garbage. But this is not the only thing, you guys. Here's every single constitutional amendment here in the state. This is the original Utah Constitution, drafted March through May of 1895, ratified by voters November 5th, 1895. The first proposed amendments were proposed in 1899. They were all rejected. 1901, this was the first one that was changed. All right, let's see what this is. All right, nothing serious. In cities of the first and second class, the public school system shall be controlled by the Board of Education. Okay? It doesn't matter that it's not serious. It needed to be an amendment number 1 to the Utah Constitution, just like the federal Constitution is. First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment.
Wow.
That's how these all needed to be listed.
I actually think that is a serious amendment.
It actually is.
That screwed up the education and the brainwashing of our students since then, our culture.
Yep. Okay. So this is all everything that's here, and I've been going through and trying to find the one, and I heard it was sometime right around here where they took out the Secretary of State, and I'm not seeing it here.
Consent of the state.
Yeah, that one. This is a big one. Offenses required to be prosecuted by indictment shall be prosecuted by information after examination and commitment by a magistrate, unless the examination be waived by the accused with the consent of the state or by indictment. Okay. Article 1, that's the Declaration of Rights. So in 1947, they went ahead and said, hey, we don't need to get an indictment to prosecute people. We're just going to prosecute people by information. That violates all rights of due process.
Yeah, and it's saying that the grand jury shall be prescribed by the legislature, which is supposed to be prescribed by the people.
Okay, so here's 1949, where it talks about the executive department shall consist, but we still have Secretary of State here. So a few things here. So this is 1949, so I'm getting closer. Let's look at this one. Nope. By the way, this guy here, this Adam Brown, he's a BYU political science. I couldn't find this information on my state's website. I went to the archive.
Everything's so hard to find when you're looking up stuff like this.
I went to archive.gov, .utah.gov, couldn't find it. So State Tax Commission. Sorry, I'm looking for, and I apologize if we're going through this. Oh, here's a big one. This changed the property tax. 1961. Nope.
So it took that long to corrupt an entire body.
So while you're looking for this, let me just
go ahead.
Put this in modern day right now, because there are several of us in this group who have LLCs. And we're all receiving this information about the Corporate Transparency Act from all directions. Like I got a hard stop notice on my private mailbox delivery system that said, hey, just so you know, there's a law that says by January 1st of 2025, if you haven't given all your private information to the government for checking for, fins and stuff, this is the Corporate Transparency Act, right? So I looked it up. It hasn't even been passed by the Senate. It's been passed by the Congress, which not the Congress, the House, which I have no idea how that happened. But now it hasn't been read 3 times. Like this is all how a bill is supposed to be passed. And it definitely doesn't have an enacting clause, and it hasn't been passed as law. So how are they, and they're not supposed to meet between now and when this is supposed to be enacted. And for the people who have LLCs prior to January 2024, this would be one of those ex post facto law things where the people from before are going to somehow be prosecuted with this daily fine. This is what everyone's got their red flags up, going crazy. This isn't right. This isn't right. But no one knows why it's not right. Like this explains it, like how this whole mess just kind of evolved little by little by little to where people think that just because it's posted somewhere that it's actually law.
Right. Just because they tell you. Well, it's worked so far.
Yeah, because people don't know the prescribed form of law.
No, they don't. All right. Article 7, Executive Department. Look what I found. 1979. Here's what's interesting. Read this italicized thing here, and let me blow this up just a little bit more. Several sections included no actual change from the existing text. After these amendments, official publications of the Utah Constitution changed the title of Article 7 from executive to executive department. It is not clear from the laws of Utah that the legislature intended this change. Plus, I have adopted the same stylistic change 1980 onward. Section 7.1. Elective constitutional officers of the executive department shall consist of governor, lieutenant governor. The year that I was born was when that was changed. Okay. But again, I can go back and we, the people, can argue this was never a lawful change because it circumnavigated or circumvented, whichever one of those two words is the one that makes the most sense. It circumnavigated or circumvented the process that was intended by the original founders of our state and the original electors of our state, the people who ratified this Constitution in 1895.
There's a maxim of law that says exactly that, where there is a prescribed form of law, non-observance of the prescribed form of law makes it a nullity. Like it's fatal, and it's anything after it.
See, this is the power that we have, right? The power that we, the people, have is when we actually know and understand what was written. I mean, you'll hear a lot of people will go, so like Kirk, for example, right? Kirk Pendergrass at Kirk's Law Corner. He says a lot of controversial stuff. He was the first one that said the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to us. And I'm like, what? How does that not apply to us? And it wasn't until I did some more reading and research and reading the Dave Champion stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm understanding why it was never meant for the everyday man and woman. It was meant for a specific class of people. The same applies here. So let me bring all of this back. What does this mean? Well, let me update you guys on a couple of things. So our last episode, we had Phil Lyman, who's running for governor here in Utah. Phil received 68 or 69% of the general vote in the caucus. According to constitutional provisions of the caucus, Phil should have been on the general election ballot automatically.
Yep.
But our crooked Republican governor, decided that he wanted to circumvent that, and he went and gathered 28,000 signatures to get on the primary ballot. And then they used shenanigans, and I'm just going to say this. I have no proof of this. I'm not saying this happened, but just logic makes sense, people. Logic makes sense. That he got on to the primary ballot and won the primary, and now he's on the general election ballot, and the guy who should be on the general election ballot is not on there. Well, what did we find out? The legislature here in Utah hired an independent auditing firm, and they have found with a 90-something% certainty that our sitting governor, Cox, did not gather enough signatures needed to get onto the primary ballot. What does this mean? Right now, nothing. He's still going to be on the ballot. Ballots have been mailed. People are going to be stupid enough to vote for him. Even Democrats are going to be stupid enough to vote for him because they do not want the change. So this is why you're seeing such a massive movement. So yesterday, Phil Lyman held a rally at the state capitol. There were thousands of people there that were supporting him. And this is going to be the largest mail-in, the largest write-in campaign that you're going to see. Now, something else that I thought was just odd as I was scrolling through my Telegram feed, one of the individuals that I follow on Telegram, let me find it, is his name is Eric Moutsos. You ever hear of Eric Moutsos?
Yes.
Justice?
Yes.
So his channel is Utah Revival.
Yep.
There was a picture that someone posted that says this: what are the odds that in two separate counties with two completely different ballot envelopes, both ballots have the holes that happen to line up to show if you wrote in a candidate. Does that, let me see if I can pull this up on my Telegram feed here and you guys can see it. Let me go. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Here it is. All right. Because this is like where you're just like, what is going on here? Oh, geez, it won't. I guess it doesn't make it bigger. Well, here, let me try this. Let me stop. Let me try it again. I don't know if you guys could see that. Oh, it didn't. Oh, here, let's do this. There we go. See this little dot right here?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And see this one here?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I always fold it to where you can't see anything, or I slide a little Post-it note in there.
Yeah. I just find that was fascinating.
Yeah. I've always been suspect of those holes for years.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are there holes in the envelope? If not,
Yeah.
just,
It's makes no sense.
yeah.
So.
Just stick a Post-it note inside the envelope and
Yep.
put my stuff in.
Yep. So what I'm getting at here is, people, we need to start waking up.
Yeah.
Go back to the original founding of your state. And I apologize, Erica. I wanted to look into Indiana and do the same thing that we've done here. I just ran out of time this week. But go back to the founding of your state and see if the same thing is happening that's happening here. I would be shocked if it's not. Because again, the American Bar Association came into prominence in the late 1800s, and they have been running the show ever since. And again, when you read the authority of law, it talks about, as you scroll on, we have the enacting clause. We know about that, but then wait a minute, who actually writes the law? Well, the laws are supposed to be written by the legislature.
They're not. They're written by lawyers and sponsored by the legislature.
Exactly. They're only sponsored, and half the time these people don't even know what's in them, and it's just like stupid. I just saw this post up here. Somebody put this here. Let me find it. Just like idiot Pelosi. I can't find it. Somebody put a comment in the thing there. She's like, "This is why Pelosi said we have to vote for it so we know what's in it." No.
You got to know what's in it before you vote for it.
Exactly.
We have some start and some questions, James, if you want to.
All right, let's take a look. Yeah, so we already talked about this one. Yes, the enactment clause must be written in the statute on the face and easily accessible. And there are actually Supreme Court cases from around the country that state just that.
Right, and it's not going to be written in the bill. That's what I was trying to say. It doesn't have the enacting clause while it's still in the legislature because it hasn't become law yet.
It hasn't officially become law. Exactly. Okay, so Todd Schrader says, not to get off topic here, but in Colorado, they are using businesses to bypass your right to privacy to purchase certain items like cannabis or cigarettes. Maybe you could do an episode on that. Todd, I apologize. I don't know much about cannabis or cigarettes because I don't smoke either. So I couldn't help you, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit. So let's see. Alexis, good old Alexis. By the way, Alexis, thank you. Good to see you again. He popped back up and started archiving and putting our shows. So thank you again for doing that. Just want to give you the shout out. So Alexis says, was the original one altered through amendments or something, or by accidents? I'm assuming you're talking about the original Constitution.
Yes, Utah.
It looks to me, and I don't even know what their intentions were. All I can say is when I look at what was written and I look at what was passed, allegedly, they're not the same, and they don't follow the provisions in the original Constitution. So an amendment is just like what we have to our federal Constitution. Nothing in the original Constitution has been changed in the 270 years that we've been a country. Well, That's open to interpretation right now, but
yeah.
So that's my point I'm trying to make is it was never supposed to change the verbiage. That's what a revision is. That's what a constitutional convention is for. And the founders of our state knew that, which is why they put that provision in section 2 of the amendments and revisions article. So look at your Alexis, if I remember, you're from Tennessee. Look at your state's constitution. It should probably say something similar. All right, so Leslie Liberty says, so where should the enacting clauses be? I think if I go to the House bill or Senate bill, does that have that clause in them? It's supposed to. And again, it's the way that it's supposed to work is on the face of the law. What does that mean? On the face of the law.
The Secretary of State is supposed to keep a file of all the actual laws. And really, it should be very small. Like there's not as many laws that are done the right way as we have been led to believe that there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and again, I shouldn't have to drill down to find an enacting clause.
Right.
What are we trying to hide here? What are we hiding? And again, not only that enacting clause is not in conformity with the original Utah Constitution. And here's the thing. I can go make these arguments all day long, and I know I'm right, but am I going to win? No. Because it's us against Goliath, and unfortunately, we don't have the whip or the stone that can take out Goliath just yet. It's coming.
We have to build our numbers. We have to reach that critical mass where the people are just like, ah.
Yeah. And then the last question I have here from Alexis, where can we find when a constitution was legitimately found? I know in Tennessee, they tried through a vote 2 years ago. I voted nay, assuming the founders were smarter than me. Good vote. Again, I just had to do some digging. I started on my state's archive website, and then I was able to find. I guess the point, or what I'm trying to say is they cannot hide it from you forever. They can't hide it from you. They put it there, but they don't make it easy to find. If that makes sense.
Don't the cities or the libraries, aren't they legally supposed to have copies, hard paper copies of the originals?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's another option. And sometimes you can, look at them with somebody there, and some of the documents are considered antiquities. So
yeah. It's like I said, it's we can you can find this stuff, but it's not easily accessible. Right. I had to it took me some time to find what I did. And when I found it, I downloaded the PDF copy. I keep it right here on my desktop because I want to be reminded of what we, the people of this state, ratified, because it protects our rights. But when I look at my Constitution that the state wants to say is my Constitution today, does it protect my rights? Sort of, kind of, but not really. Because it doesn't. I mean, even just looking at the property tax provision of all of this, it doesn't. So this is where we have to be vigilant. This is where we have to do our research, do our homework, and make sure we stay on top of this stuff. So I actually helped a friend. I'm helping a friend of mine right now. I think I told you guys about him, where he's got a stupid city that's trying to tell him that their ordinances and codes are applicable to him. No, they're not.
Oh, he was with his shed.
I quoted Thomas Jefferson from the Declaration of Independence in our court filing, that they have subjected him to a jurisdiction that is foreign to our Constitution through pretended acts of legislation. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It is. It's all make-believe. They decide they want power, and they finagle their way into it while we weren't looking.
Yep. So that's what I wanted to talk about today was gosh, I could spend 2 or 3 hours going over all of the changes. The last thing I want to touch on, though, before we wrap it up, is I want you guys to look at this graphic right here. Let me share my screen one last time. This guy here, AdamBrown.info, God bless you, whoever you are, for compiling this information. I couldn't find any of this on any of my state's website. The only way I was able to find it was when I did a Google search. So look at this graphic right here, guys. What this graphic says is this is the percentage of change of the original text of the 1896 Constitution. So in 1896, there was 100%.
Wow.
We are less than 25%.
Wowee.
This should be maybe 10% difference. Maybe. But even
That's
then,
shocking.
it would have had to have been done through a constitutional convention, and no such constitutional convention has ever taken place in Utah.
I bet that's in every state.
I would be shocked if it's not.
Wowee.
So, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. We'll wrap this show up. Thank you so much for tuning in and for joining. And again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, if you listen to us often, I'd recommend watching this. I know I say that a lot, but there was a lot that I went on my screen. It really is eye-opening. So now that we know, what can we do about it? Well, knowledge is power. I want to try and have on a friend of ours. Her name is Shannon. She's been helping me and my friend. She's in Pennsylvania, and she took to task some code people where she said, by what authority are you on my property?
Mm-hmm.
Get off my property. If you come again, there will be consequences that you will not like. And there have been more and more of these people. I noticed, Justice, I think you posted a video in the Telegram chat a while ago about some guy, I want to say he was in Arizona. It's a foul-mouthed tirade, but the dude puts the freaking people in their place.
Mm-hmm.
And he shuts these attorneys down, and he shuts these judges down. And he said he had 3 or 4 judges that have vacated the bench.
Mm-hmm.
People are waking up.
Yep.
That's what we need to do.
The ultimate question is, we are all, the founding of our country was founded under God,
Mm-hmm.
right? That we all have rights, and no man has more rights than another. So any of
Exactly.
these codes, and under whose authority? That's all I ever ask. Whose authority? And who gave you that authority? And who gave you that authority?
Exactly.
Anyway.
100%.
Yep.
So, you guys, I do want to just end the show by saying everything that we do, everything that I do is educational purposes. You guys know that. But I feel like I was placed here on this planet at this time by God to share. I mean, I retain information really well, really easily.
You do.
I mean, Justice laughs because she's like, this is just spinning in my head. And I'm like, okay, Justice, let me try and make this as simple as possible.
I forget more information than...
Yeah. So what I am saying is, God has a plan. God has a purpose. He did not send us here to this earth that we would all perish in unbelief, that we would all perish into slavery. Whether we want to believe it or not, we have all been slaves at some point or another to a monetary system, to whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, human trafficking and slavery is even 10 times as worse than it was during the actual slave trade. We need to know this. We need to wake up. And when we see something, we need to say something. So God bless you all. I love you all. We will try and get a show out again next Friday. If you have suggestions, things you guys would like to see, or guests you want us to try and bring on the show, send them our way. We'll do what we can. So with that, you all, I bid you adieu. Take care, everyone.
Bye now.